Confidence doesn't come from pretty speeches. It's born from the quiet, "I did it," you repeat every single day. If everything were stripped from you today, money, status, contacts, and all you had left was your mind, would you still find a way to reach financial independence? A lot of people think those who build wealth for real just got lucky, had the right connections, or played some shady game inside the system. But here's what almost nobody talks about. Building wealth starts long before the first million hits your account. It starts with your financial mindset, with how you handle every dollar, every hour of your day, every tiny decision. No one's watching. Lose money and it hurts. Lose the ability to generate money and it's game over. What people rarely admit is this. If you need constant motivation just to manage your money, you still don't get the game. The game is becoming the kind of person who has financial control even when income is low, who chooses to invest in yourself before flexing, who develops high-value skills while most people waste time arguing in random WhatsApp groups. Want faster income growth? Start by plugging obvious money leaks, getting the basics organized, and exposing yourself daily to real financial education. The kind school never taught, but that shapes your market value in the real world. What you'll see here is not some magic formula or get rich in 7 days nonsense. It's the mental roadmap that would let you start from scratch and still build scalable assets, create predictable income streams, and move toward financial independence with intention. You'll notice that the decisions that look small, what you study today, who you connect with, how you spend your time, where you put your first $100, are exactly what separates people who live putting out fires from those quietly building wealth. If everything had to start over right now, it would be these simple choices that would rebuild everything from the ground up. He always believed that building wealth demanded some huge reboot, making a lot of money fast, launching massive businesses, turning life upside down. One day, though, this tired hero decided to start with something almost ridiculous. A glass of water right after waking up. It seemed way too small, but inside that tiny move there was a powerful seed of financial education and financial control over himself, proving, in practice, that he could stick to his simple promise. Confidence doesn't come from hype. It comes from the "I did it" repeated day after day. And funny enough, that same logic later sustains any consistent income growth. At first, he laughed at himself. Seriously, is this going to change my financial mindset? But that glass of water was a silent reminder that to invest in yourself, you don't start with expensive courses. You start with micro choices that fit any routine. It's like putting a couple of coins aside every day. It doesn't change your life overnight, but trains your brain to respect limits, build financial control, and think long-term. Over time, you realize high-value skills are born the same way. In tiny doses, repeated so often they become part of who you are, not just what you do. Here's a practical example. The same person who decides to drink water right after waking up can decide to save 1% of everything they earn. No excuses. If they make 1,000, they save 10. If they make 3,000, they save 30. Ridiculously small, ridiculously doable. And this applies to everything. Reading 1 page a day of a classic on building wealth, jotting down a single expense in a simple sheet, watching a short video about scalable assets instead of doom scrolling your feed. These micro decisions slowly boost your perceived market value in your own mind, opening space to understand that financial independence doesn't start at the bank. It starts in your identity. With time, he realized that glass of water wasn't just a random habit. It was a symbol of something bigger, continuous improvement, even if he didn't have a fancy name for it. Instead of trying to change everything at once, he chose to tweak a little bit every day, the same way you build financial education step by step, without freaking out. Today he logs 1 expense. Tomorrow he cuts 1 small non-essential. The next day, he looks for a video about building wealth or entrepreneurship. That mindset of incremental progress keeps sanding down the old financial mindset, full of guilt and impulse, and slowly creates room for smarter choices. The brain is funny. It doesn't trust big promises, but it does trust small proof. When someone sticks to a simple habit for weeks, the brain quietly goes, "Okay, this is serious." That seriousness starts spreading to other areas. It gets easier to build financial control, more natural to think about income growth through high-value skills, and more logical to study scalable assets, even if you don't fully understand them yet. Suddenly, you notice you're investing in yourself every day in small but consistent doses, and that consistency starts compounding. Want something ultra-practical? Instead of saying, "I'll fix my entire financial life this month," a person can start with just 5 minutes a day reviewing one tiny piece. Today, only card expenses. Tomorrow, only subscriptions. The next day, only a new potential income stream. It's like reading 1 page a day of a solid money book. Short time, big long-term impact. Without even noticing, this routine builds inner market value that later shows up outside as real financial independence. That's how emotional control, discipline, and self-confidence slowly turn into visible results. When he started adjusting his routine, it wasn't with some crazy diet or athlete-level training. It was with almost shy decisions, eating a little less at lunch, walking 1 extra block, swapping soda for water on some days. These choices look a lot like financial education. It's not about stopping living, it's about building financial control little by little, cutting excess without killing joy. Just like in building wealth, small consistent changes reshape your financial mindset and your perspective on your body, your time, and your energy. Those micro tweaks kicked off a chain reaction. He slept a bit better, woke up with more energy, worked with more focus, and over time that translated into income growth. After all, more energy means better performance, sharper thinking, and more creativity to invest in yourself and your entrepreneurship journey. Suddenly, the idea of developing high-value skills didn't feel so far-fetched. With a clearer mind, it became easier to understand scalable assets, market value, and how those pieces link to financial independence. To put this into action, someone can start with 3 micro adjustments. Walk 10 minutes after lunch, cut the sugar in your coffee in half, and eat until you feel satisfied, not stuffed. Same logic as saving a small amount of money every day. It hardly hurts, but it changes everything over time. And it's wild how this physical discipline spills over into money. The way you think about building wealth, financial control, and how you choose to invest in yourself more wisely. Once that domino effect kicks in, it gets way easier to handle even the days when nothing goes according to plan. Of course, there were days when he slipped hard, ate too much, skipped the walk, ignored that easy glass of water. His old self would have said, "See, you're not built for this. Just quit." This time, though, he chose to see the failure differently, understanding that even in building wealth there are bad months, bad calls, and emotional storms that wreck financial control. Instead of diving headfirst into guilt, he treated the mistake as part of the path, a reminder that financial education, health, and your financial mindset are built through progress and setbacks. This outlook looks a lot like accepting that nothing is perfect, not your body, not your bank account, not your plans. Instead of demanding robot-level behavior from himself, he learned it's smarter to accept the cracks along the way, because that's exactly where the learning sneaks in. A bad investment teaches more than a lucky profit. A bad week in your diet reveals your emotional triggers. All of that refines how you invest in yourself, how you pick high-value skills, and how you chase income growth without wrecking your mental health. In real life, when someone breaks a habit, financial, health, or productivity, the most powerful move isn't punishment, it's the quick comeback. Instead of making dramatic promises, they could just say, "Okay, today I'm going back to basics. A glass of water, 1 expense log, 5 minutes studying scalable assets or market value." That simple reset keeps one slip from turning into a landslide. And ironically, it's on those imperfect days that they strengthen their identity the most, not as someone who has to be perfect, but as someone built for long-term financial independence. Eventually, the initial excitement wore off, and what was left? Routine. Wake up, drink water, walk a bit, manage financial control, review expenses, nothing glamorous. Those boring days are exactly when most people quit building wealth, because they expect constant hype, fireworks, and motivational quotes ringing in the background. He chose a simpler rule. Even without motivation, he'd do something tiny. One sip of water, 5 minutes of reading, one single expense written down. Small moves, big message. Consistency beats mood. That almost stubborn persistence started to change how he saw himself. He stopped being the person who always quits and became the one who keeps going even on bad days. That is pure gold when we talk about income growth and high-value skills. The person who keeps studying a little every day, practicing a skill, consuming real financial education content, naturally ends up ahead. In the long run, that person becomes more valuable in the market, more prepared to handle scalable assets, and better able to negotiate their own market value. On a terrible day, instead of dropping everything, someone can pick a maintenance micro-action. Read just one page of a finance book, watch one short video about building wealth, review just one purchase on the bank statement, walk for 5 minutes. It won't change the whole world in a day, but it keeps their identity on track. When that identity of a persistent person solidifies, every small act becomes proof that financial independence isn't some fantasy. It's the natural outcome for someone who refuses to stop. In the beginning, he said he just wanted to lose weight to feel better in the mirror. Over time, he realized the real spark was different. He wanted the energy to play with his kids, live more years beside his partner, and be an example of building wealth, emotional and financial, for his family. When someone ties change to a real purpose, everything shifts. Financial education stops being just spreadsheets and turns into protection for the people they love. The financial mindset stops being just numbers and becomes a way to care for those who depend on them. That sweet spot between what feels good, what generates income, and what serves others is the foundation for truly investing in yourself. When someone understands that growing high-value skills isn't just about earning more, but about serving better, creating impact, and boosting their market value honestly, motivation grows roots. Suddenly, studying scalable assets, chasing income growth, and organizing financial control stop feeling like sacrifice and start feeling like alignment with the life they actually want to live. Here's a quick exercise. Instead of writing, "I want to make more money," they can write, "I want income growth to secure my family's financial independence and have time to watch my kids grow up." Then they list what they need to learn for that. Maybe sales, marketing, programming, finance, entrepreneurship, something that truly builds value. Step by step, each small habit, a glass of water, a walk, 15 minutes of financial education, takes on deeper meaning. Once the routine has meaning, sticking to the next small changes becomes a whole lot easier. As days go by, he realizes he's not just drinking water, walking, and tracking expenses. He's building a whole lifestyle system, eating until he feels comfortable, not stuffed, accepting that nothing will be perfect, and showing up even on stuck, low-energy days. This combo of moderation, acceptance, and discipline creates a rock-solid base for building wealth and financial control. You don't just earn more, you understand yourself more, respect yourself more, and stop sabotaging everything whenever you slip. Living with this more mature financial mindset is like adjusting your internal thermostat. Instead of bouncing between extremes, spending everything or hoarding out of fear, overeating or starving, you start operating in a healthy range. You eat to around 80% full, work at a sustainable pace, pursue income growth without wrecking your health. At the same time, you accept the journey is full of imperfections, and that's okay. This mindset frees you from anxiety, sharpens your decisions, and makes it much easier to invest in yourself, learn high-value skills, and look at scalable assets without panic. Practically speaking, when they sit down to eat, they decide to stop when they feel almost satisfied, not when their clothes are screaming. When dealing with money, instead of chasing the trendiest investment, they prioritize consistently saving a slice of their income, however small, and learning before they put money in. Over time, that steady, balanced posture grows their market value. People start seeing them as stable, reliable, capable of leading, delivering, and thinking long-term. That reputation plus inner growth sets the stage for the next challenge, proving to themselves they can keep simple promises for several days in a row. After understanding all this, he set up a simple test. Pick one habit so tiny it'd be almost impossible to justify skipping it. It could be a glass of water upon waking, 1 minute of deep breathing, one page of money book, or one expense log per day. The rule was clear: 14 days straight, no drama. It may look silly at first, but this kind of challenge is a machine for building wealth from the inside out, because it shows someone they can maintain financial control and emotional control in everyday life. Over those 14 days, something interesting happens. The focus shifts from how big the action is to how consistent it is. The person realizes that if they can keep a micro task going daily, they're also capable of sustaining bigger habits related to income growth, studying scalable assets, and developing high-value skills. The financial mindset shifts from "I'm disorganized" to "I'm someone who keeps promises, even in small steps." That alone boosts their market value in the eyes of everyone around them. A simple way to start today: pick one option and commit to it for 14 days. Read one page of a classic finance book before bed. Log your first expense of the day into a spreadsheet. Watch one short video about building wealth. Set aside 1% of your income, no matter what. It's not supposed to be heavy. It should be so simple it'd be embarrassing not to do it. When that little chain of daily wins forms, it naturally pulls the person into something bigger. A full identity shift, the kind that starts with a microscopic habit and quietly changes the entire direction of their life. Sooner or later, he notices he's not just doing new habits. He's becoming someone else. The person who used to see themselves as messy, with no financial control, and stuck in impulse cycles, starts to see themselves as someone who takes care of building wealth every day. Not because of some big prize, but because of small promises kept: a glass of water, a short walk, one expense tracked, one page of financial education read. Identity changes on the inside first, how he talks to himself, then shows up on the outside in his results. When the head changes, the choices follow. He thinks twice before impulse spending because now he sees himself as someone who invests in yourself, not in temporary distractions. Instead of saying, "I'm bad with money," he starts thinking, "I'm building my financial mindset." It's a quiet shift, but powerful. Little by little, high-value skills get on his radar, and so do scalable assets and new income growth opportunities that he used to ignore because his old identity was stuck on "that's not for me." This identity shift changes the kind of future he can even imagine. Financial independence stops being some distant fantasy and becomes a realistic project, built one step at a time. Instead of chasing a dramatic before and after, he starts valuing the during, that messy process full of tiny wins almost nobody sees. Because he gets this, he opens up to a life where every small choice, what he eats, what he studies, how he works, where he puts his money, tunes this new version of himself, ready for the next level. In the end, he realizes life isn't made of those before and after pictures people post online, but of the in-between, the part nobody sees. That's where building wealth truly happens. When he chooses to get up a bit earlier, drink water, walk, check his bank app, and practice financial control without drama. Instead of hunting for shortcuts, he decided to become the kind of person who keeps promises to himself. Ironically, that's exactly what clears the way for income growth, because discipline creates opportunity, and opportunity loves a well-organized life. This perspective lifts a huge weight off his shoulders. He understands he doesn't need to fix everything today or know everything about financial education, scalable assets, or high-value skills to start. He just needs to embrace the role of a permanent learner, someone who sees themselves in constant evolution. One day, he learns to negotiate better. Another day, he finds a smart way to invest in yourself. Another, he discovers content that expands his financial mindset and entrepreneurship vision. Identity stops being fixed and turns into something that's always leveling up. And it's exactly this ongoing process that creates a kind of positive snowball effect. The more he acts like a responsible, curious, committed person, the more opportunities show up to boost his market value. A new client, a promotion, a partnership, a side project. Money improves, health improves, relationships improve. Not because he found some secret formula, but because day after day, he chose to be the person who does the basics well. Without even noticing, that posture sets the stage for increasingly strategic decisions about money, time, future, and yes, about entrepreneurship, motivational quotes that actually mean something, and a life built on real consistency. To wrap it up, there's one thing that needs to be crystal clear. None of this changes your life if it stays only in your head. Every idea here only gains power when it turns into concrete action, no matter how small. Starting with simple financial control, choosing to invest in yourself seriously, building high-value skills, and using financial education to guide your decisions. That's what flips building wealth from dream mode to execution mode. So it's worth facing a few uncomfortable questions. How long are you going to accept living in firefighting mode, depending on luck or other people to get income growth? What's still missing for you to actually own the lead role in your journey to financial independence, studying scalable assets, and raising your market value a little bit every day? And more importantly, what micro action can you take today? Yes, today, to prove to yourself at this time, you're really playing a different game?